Welcome to bLU Talks.
Hi, Shelby. I'm so excited to get to know you a little bit better today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Amazing. So tell us a little bit about what you do.
What I do is I help people really own their presence by aligning who they are with what they wear. So it has a bit of that internal and external piece of it.
Amazing. And so what kind of got you started with that? What inspired you to kind of get into doing that?
Yeah, great question. I spent 13 years working in corporate HR. And during that time, I had the opportunity to observe people and myself as well. And I noticed that when people were wearing something that felt like them, they showed up a little bit better. They showed up a little bit more confident. And since I was a little kid, like my mom will tell a story of I'm a year and a half old and I'm dressing myself. And I have just always loved clothing in terms of how it communicates to us. And I ended up being laid off from my HR career, and I was given this beautiful opportunity to do something completely different. And I never thought I would do anything in the style, fashion side of things. However, in talking to a lot of friends and family, they all kind of pointed that way. And I realized, you know what? If I can create a place that people can come and learn about themselves, who they are, and how to align who they are with what they wear, then that's a way of helping change people and change the world.
Amazing. I bet you have lots of stories around that. So what role would you say mindset plays in the transformation that you help guide your clients through?
Mindset is everything. It really is so much psychology in what we wear and why we wear it. And it's interesting how I often will talk to my clients about like, okay, what do you love to wear? What do you not love to wear? And I'll just ask a lot of questions of them, and I start to get a sense of the stories that they tell themselves. And I've noticed that the most successful people that I work with are the people who have a growth mindset. And they're wanting to learn more about themselves, and they're wanting to understand who they are a little bit better and rewrite some of those stories that they've told themselves sometimes for 40 plus years of their life. And so it makes such a significant difference. And even just like how we communicate to ourselves is a really big part of that mindset.
Wow. Would you say upon meeting somebody, you could tell their personality right away by the clothes that they're wearing?
Yes and no. Some people, yes, if they have a really good sense of how to communicate who they are with what they wear, absolutely. You can tell if someone's wearing a lot of pattern or bright colors, they usually have a more vibrant part to their personality. If someone's wearing something that's more edgy and more leather, they have that part to their personality. However, sometimes you can't tell because they haven't quite figured it out themselves. And so I love asking people questions and drawing that out of them so I can get to know them in that way a little bit more.
Oh, so cool. Sorry. So what would you say inspired you to really combine your personal styling and your identity coaching?
Yeah, the idea of identity coaching, and I've started calling it personal identity coaching, really came. I randomly was talking to someone and they talked about this identity coach. And when I looked up what that actually means, it struck me that that's such a big part of what I do. Because yes, I focus on clothing as the tool in the style side of my business. It's a journey. It's an internal journey to get to that point where you're so discontent in what you're wearing. And I really wanted to create something that can help support people on that personal growth side of things and understanding who they are, and then understand, okay, how do I present that in what I wear as a piece of it? It's not the whole, but it's a piece of it.
Okay. I know in your talk earlier, you were talking about a couple of experiences that you've had with some clients, specifically around moms. And I'm a mom, I have 4 kids. And so my style journey has definitely changed through the years. What would you say are the biggest, barriers or challenges that you see in when you kind of grow out of a phase and go into a new phase of life, and it seems like maybe you lose your passion for, looking your very best, right? And you get kind of in this funk of, messy bun and sweatpants kind of thing. So what would you say is like, that kind of looks like for you that you've seen?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is taking a moment to really ask yourself, how do you want to feel? I worked with a stay-at-home mom once, and we did the wardrobe edit. So we went into her closet, and I had her, before I got there, put her clothes into 3 piles. What she absolutely loves, what she loves but doesn't know how to wear, and then what she wears every day but doesn't necessarily love. And what she wears every day and doesn't necessarily love was the biggest pile. And all the things that she actually loves and feels great in was for going out. And what we did was then we talked about, okay, well, how do you want to feel at home? And we were able to start changing her mindset of style or investing in clothing is only for going out. It's for while you're at home. That's where you spend 80 to 90% of the time when you're a mom. You need clothes that you can move around in, that are easy to put on, that you can throw in the wash. And you can find clothes like that still feel like you. She was very much a minimalist. So it was having very simple clothes, but pants with maybe that aren't leggings, but have more stretch to them, and that work for her silhouette. And so I think the biggest thing for moms in particular is taking the moment to spend a moment thinking about what you want and how do you want to feel every day? How do you want to show up for yourself, for your kids, for your family? And then start to shift that. And it's okay to do that. And remember, it's okay to do that.
Awesome. I love that. And what would you say are some common identity or image struggles that you've encountered with your clients?
One of the biggest things is almost feeling shamed about what you like, and not feeling like you can really express yourself, or not knowing that you can. So it goes to that confidence piece. And it's fascinating. A lot of people I work with, they actually know the colors. So I do color draping, and we'll figure out which color palette they're on. And a lot of the colors they love and they're attracted to are the best colors for them, or types of clothing. They use me and the information I work with them on to just increase that confidence, to give them that assurance that you're on the right track, you're doing the right thing. And I think that's the biggest thing, is just getting that reassurance from people, for having someone who's external to maybe their friends or family to say, yeah, you got this. And think about the mindset. It's going back to the mindset is a huge part of it. Is, once you start viewing yourself as your worth, feeling good in your clothes and feeling like yourself in it, then that can shift everything.
I love that. What would you say is is color for everyone? Would you say that? Or is there more, depending on your personality type, maybe more neutrals, or even, I know a lot of people that have all black closets. So all of their clothing is black. Would you say that color is for everyone, or what has been your experience with that?
That is a great question. Color in general, wearing a lot of color, is not for everyone. That's where your style personality comes in. I had a client recently, she came to me being like, I want to add more color into my closet. And I was like, amazing. So we figured out which color palette she was in. Oddly enough, black is actually a cool undertone color. So without getting into everything, if you have a warm undertone, black is not the best. You can still wear it, but it's not the best. And we found out that she's warm, and I got her to try on all these colors. And there were so many that looked really good on her. However, I could tell in her physical response even that she didn't love it. It wasn't to the core of her. And it was more the army greens and the ivories and the navies. That's where she felt her best. So she's a bit more of a minimalist style personality. So just all that to say, color is not for everyone.
Okay.
And then there's some people who wear multiple colors and loud colors, and it's beautiful. And I think that's such a cool thing about what I do is I have the opportunity to see all these different ways of expressing who you are.
What would you say hair has to do with it? Because you do like the outfits and, you know, the colors and all that kind of stuff. Just you sharing about the colors, I just thought about some people that I know that have like really amazing hair, like colorful hair, that kind of a thing, and even what they wear. Would you say there's like a direct link to, you know, what you wear with the color of your hair and maybe dyeing it and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely a link in terms of the personality. And for some people, I mean, Crystal, she has beautiful purple hair and it looks amazing on her. And I love that she showcases that and she owns that. Hair color is similar to clothing color. Is if you have a cool undertone, you want cool, warm. Otherwise, if people start asking you if you feel okay today, it might be the color. And if it's your hair, that's a little more difficult because you can't exactly take it off. And yeah, so that's a big part of it. You want to consider your face shape as well with the hair color, but in terms of the way that you wear it, embrace it. Like if in terms of like lean into your style personality, once you know what that is or have defined it, there's no right or wrong. It's just figuring out what that is for you. Include your hair in it because it's part of your overall image.
Okay, awesome. I have a couple last questions. One, what has been the most challenging experience that you've had with a client that you can remember and how you were able to kind of overcome those challenges? Because I know you talk about mindset. I know that sometimes, you know, mindset is a big thing. And if you're stubborn and kind of set in your own ways, but yet you're an outsider coming in trying to help and that kind of a thing, I'd love to kind of hear, is there anything that's memorable to you that you've had an experience where it's been a little bit challenging, but you were able to overcome it?
Yeah, often one of the biggest challenges is if someone has a more unique style, personality, or silhouette, sometimes, depending on the season, it can be a little bit more difficult to find the right clothes for them. I had this one client, she was having a difficult time because she was a mom to now some tweens and she was starting to shift her perspective on herself and she had just spent no time thinking about herself. And basically everything in her closet did not work for her. And when we went shopping, we were struggling a little bit to find the right pieces. And sometimes when you spent no time thinking about yourself, so you don't really know how to fall into that. So I had her try on a ton of pieces, which can feel discouraging when only a few work. But at the end of the day, she was able to get a few pieces that looked really good on her. And I actually got a text from her after, even though it felt discouraging when we were there. A few days later, I get a text and she's like, Shelby, I have all new clothes, but I've never felt more like myself.
Wow.
So it's really rewarding when you can see that. I have another interesting one, and it wasn't so much a difficult one, but it was a challenge. And when I shop with a client, we have 2 different sessions. So this gentleman, he hired me to work with him, and we go through the style foundation, so color, silhouette, style, personality. And at the end, he says to me, he's like, okay, Shelby, I'm investing a lot in this, so I have high expectations.
No pressure.
No pressure, right? And I said, good. You should have high expectations because this is an investment in yourself. And the best part was we went shopping, and that night he texted me and he's like, one of his goals was he wanted to get noticed when he would go into a restaurant. And he messages me, he's like, Shelby, I totally got noticed all over the place. So I was giving myself a little pat on the back.
That's amazing. What would you say really motivates you to keep going every day when you wake up and, you know, you have another day ahead of you, clients, all of that kind of thing? Would you say it's those kind of experiences where you get the messages and that kind of a thing?
Absolutely. One, I have this picture in my mind of, it's consistent over several clients, but it's that moment when they look in the mirror, they have a whole new outfit on that they've never put on before, and they look in the mirror and I see their shoulders go a little bit back. I see a smile on their face, and I can see in their eyes they are looking at themselves differently and seeing themselves in a new way. And that's why I do it, because I want people to feel like themselves in what they wear and feel that confidence. And so it's those
Amazing.
moments that definitely keep me going.
I love that. And lastly, how is your style evolution, your personal style evolution? Would you say that it changes through time, or it's kind of been like, through seasons, or what does that kind of look like for somebody that does your work?
Yeah, I have a fairly consistent style. However, one of the ways that I really grew into my style was probably 12 years ago. I loved a bargain. It was the thrill of the deal. And I finally realized I had so much in my closet. And I was like, okay, I got to do something about this.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to shop my closet. It was around the time Pinterest had first come out,
yeah.
and I pinned outfits all the time. I challenged myself to recreate those outfits with what I had already had in my wardrobe. Because I was like, I loved this at one point, or I wanted it for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I would recreate these outfits, and I would start to be like, okay, do I like this? Do I feel good in this? I now am more strategic about it, but at the time I didn't know what I was doing. I was still working. I wasn't even doing what I'm doing now.
Okay.
And I found that also through doing that, I actually started to uncover my own style because I was paying attention to, do I actually feel good in this or do I not? And so how I describe my style personality is classic glam with an edgy twist.
Okay.
And so that's how I build my outfits. And I have like what I'm wearing today, jeans, a t-shirt, and a colorful blazer. This is kind of my staple, and fun sneakers. This is one of my staple like uniforms, I guess you could say. I always feel good in it. I always feel confident in it. And I find it to be a really, having that. And honestly, I'll have these pieces I haven't had that long, but I have pieces that I've had for 10 years and I still love them.
I love that. Okay, so last fun question. Do you have a scrubby or a low-key outfit that is your kind of guilty pleasure to like throw on, like sweats, maybe it has a hole or whatever, or is that does not exist in your closet?
I love this question. I believe we often think style is for getting dressed up. I believe style is for every part of our life. So even our sweatpants. And so I wouldn't say I have a guilty pleasure. However, I have built I wear sweatpants, I wear sweatshirts all the time.
Okay.
And I built them though that still aligns with my colors and my style personality. So I feel really good in them. I always say not every sweatshirt is made the same. You can feel really good and relaxed in it, or you can feel sloppy. And so probably the sloppiest sweatshirt I have in my closet is from I'm a trail runner, and it was from a trail running series that I ran, and I got a really good sweatshirt, and it's big and it's bulky, and I just, with those days there, I just want to melt into the couch. I put that on, and it's very strategic though. I still like it, and I still enjoy it, and it's for those moments.
I love that. Well, this has been an absolute pleasure, and I think I'm going to have to call you after this.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. So Shelby, how can people find you if they want to get in touch with you?
My website is allsetstyle.com. I'm on LinkedIn as both Shelby Eloria and Allset Style. I'm on Instagram as Allset Style, and I'm on Facebook as well.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.